All right, everyone. So I want to give you guys some more of my thoughts on this election. So far, it looks like really, it's quite obvious that Donald Trump is the winner. So far, he has 267 votes in the Electoral College. He needs 270 to win. So he has effectively sealed the deal, and he has won the presidential election. And I want to give you guys some more of my thoughts on this whole thing. I just put out a video where I quickly just told you guys, hey, I told you so. I told you that Trump was going to win. And I just quickly gave my thoughts on that. But now I want to give you guys a second video where I can be a little bit more in depth in my perspective here. So I knew that Trump was going to win. My intuition told me he was going to win. Now, why was I so certain about this? Well, like I said, Trump has a cult of personality, just like Obama had a cult of personality when he was running against McCain and when he was running against Romney. Now, some weeks ago, I uploaded a video in which I said that they are setting up Kamala Harris to lose. This is what I said. I said they are setting this woman up to lose. And it was very, very obvious as to why I said this. Think about this. They set this woman up to lose. I truly believe. Now, I can't prove this. I don't have a white paper that says, here are the documents from the Democrat Party saying we want Kamala Harris to lose. But I really believe, I suspect, to be more accurate here, I suspect, because I can't prove it 100%, I suspect that they set this woman up to lose. I suspect that they wanted this woman to lose. Now, why would I say that? Because it's very obvious. Think about it. 70% of Americans believed that Biden was bringing the country down a wrong direction. So it was obvious that Biden was not popular. It's obvious that Biden did not have a very high favorability rate amongst the public. And so it was also very obvious that Biden was not cognitively functioning at 100%. It's obvious that he has a neurodegenerative handicap. And that was quite obvious back in 2020. People were saying it back then. They were saying, this guy, his brains aren't fully functioning. His marbles aren't all there. It's very obvious. And there were numerous people saying, listen, I know someone with dementia, or I have experience with people who have dementia, and I can tell you this guy has dementia. It was very obvious. And for years, Democrats were saying, he's fine. He's okay. Meanwhile, Biden was, I remember he went up on this stage, and Biden said something like, I'm going to go come over there in the room in the back. Like, what? And then he debated Trump, and then his wife was walking him like a woman walks her grandfather. It was very obvious. But people were lying, and they were trying to gaslight the public, and Harris was saying, he's great. No, but old Joe, he's fine. So they got rid of Biden because his debate with Trump was just embarrassing. Or so we think, right? Or so we think that that's what they were saying amongst themselves. They said, listen, this old man doesn't got it. He doesn't have it. He's done. Let's get rid of him. Let's replace him. Well, who are we going to get to replace this old timer? Who? Well, who did they pick? Did they pick a candidate who's charismatic? No. Did they pick a candidate who has a cult of personality? No. Did they pick a candidate who can out-charisma the charisma of Trump? Did they pick a candidate who could beat Trump even after all of the patriotism and all of the energy sparked and abounded in the air after he was shot? Because when your opponent gets shot and survives, and he gets up and he pumps his fist up in the air in defiance, it's very difficult to beat that. Did they get a guy who could beat that? No, they did not. They picked the woman who represents Joe Biden. Kamala Harris represents who? Her boss, Joe Biden. And 70% of Americans were saying what? Biden is not taking America down a good path. He's leading America down a wrong path. And so now you're going to try to convince Americans, 70% of whom believe Biden is taking America down a wrong path, to vote for someone who represents Biden. I have difficulty believing that the people in the upper echelons of power within the Democrat Party truly believed that Kamala Harris could have won. It's like saying that the Republican Party really believed that McCain and that woman in Alaska, the woman who shoots moose or whatever, Palin. It's like saying that the Republican Party really believed that McCain and Palin could have beat Obama, or that Romney and Paul Ryan could have beaten Obama. It just doesn't make any sense. You look at Obama, the guy was filling up stadiums. The guy was filling up he was getting these enormous crowds. People were crying. I mean, you can't beat that. And so you think that people, I'm not talking about the average Democrat who's like, I'm voting for Harris. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the people who really are in charge of the Democrat Party, the people who picked Harris. I have difficulty believing that they really got together and said, guys, let's huddle together here. Harris. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And now we're going to convince Americans who think that Biden is not good to vote for someone who defends Biden. And to vote for someone who was lying to the American public saying that Biden is fine. His brains are fine. It don't make no sense, guys. And I said it weeks ago. I said they are setting this woman up to fail. They get rid of the guy with dementia. They replace him with this woman who looks like she could be a vice principal at a middle school somewhere. And they say, okay, lady, you got 3 months and you got all this money, but you got 3 months to convince people that you're not like Biden. Well, you're representing Biden for all these years, and you're telling us that you're going to make the country better. Better from what? Better from Biden's administration? But this is the administration that you are representing and that you are defending, yet you're telling us that you're going to make the country better when you have been the vice president of this current administration under which we have had these issues like inflation or this war in Ukraine, etc. They set this woman up to lose. They wanted, I'm just going to say it. I can't prove it 100%. This is just my intuition talking. They wanted this woman to lose. I believe they wanted this woman to lose. Why did they want this woman to lose? Maybe they thought, listen, why would we send our best candidates against a guy who's really popular? It's like when Trump flirted with the idea of running for the presidency when Romney was running. Remember when Romney was running? Trump was teasing the American people. I'm going to run, everyone. And I knew, even then, even back in 2012, 2011, those years, I knew if this guy runs, he's going to win. This guy's a celebrity. He was in Home Alone. I mean, not just a celebrity in the sense that, oh, he's a famous actor. I mean, a celebrity in the sense that he's seen as a people's man. And he didn't run. Even though maybe he could have beat Obama. I don't think Trump would have had the ability to beat Obama because Obama's cult of personality was so big at that time. But Trump decided to pull back and not run against Obama. And that strategically was a smart move. Now, why do I say it was a smart move? Because think about it. If Trump ran against Obama while Romney was running, Trump would have lost. Because at that point, people did not have this cult of personality for Trump. Trump, at that point, had not cultivated a cult of personality that would have been strong enough to beat Obama's cult of personality. It's the war of the political cults. That's what elections are. So Trump needed 4 years, at least 4 years, to develop a cult of personality, and he did. And plus, all of this mess happened when Obama was president in his second term. ISIS was a big thing. Islamic terrorism was a huge thing. You had the Bataclan massacre in France. You had the Orlando shooting. You had all these disasters that were happening, all these problems that were happening. And the border was a huge issue because you had, El Chapo, ISIS, terrorism, all the slaughter happening in Iraq and Syria. And this mess was happening under whose administration? Obama's. And Obama's cult of personality was popped like a balloon. And who was capitalizing on it? Trump was. And he was developing what? A cult of personality. And that's when, it was in that moment, it was within that heated political atmosphere that Trump hit the metal when it was hot. And he was very successful. And so, Trump's cult of personality is huge right now. He survived 2 assassination attempts, got shot in the first one. You're not going to beat that. So why would the Democrats throw their best candidates at someone who has developed such an immense cult of personality? So they gave him Harris. They took Harris and they threw her right into the fray, into the political fray. It reminds me of a scene from the film Rush Hour. Have you guys ever seen the film Rush Hour with Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker? Truly one of the great masterpieces of American cinema, and I really mean that sincerely. I'm not being facetious here. Rush Hour 1 and Rush Hour 2 are some of the greatest films ever made. The filming, the lighting, the acting, the humor. It was just such a well-executed movie. Well, in the film Rush Hour, there is a scene where Detective Carter, played by Chris Tucker, who is an LAPD detective, catches a bad guy. He catches a guy who's trying to sell C4, and in the process of catching this guy, Chris Tucker's character shoots the guy's car, and the bullet hits the C4, and the car blows up. Well, he got the bad guy, but the C4 blew up, and it caused a lot of damage on the street. So what happened? He became an embarrassment for the LAPD, and he was all over the press. Even though he got the bad guy, he caused a lot of damage in the process. So he goes to his captain's office, and as he's heading towards his captain's office, his captain is on the phone with the FBI because the daughter of the Chinese consulate had been kidnapped, and the FBI was trying to investigate who kidnapped the little girl. But the problem is that the little girl is a Chinese citizen, and the Chinese government wants to send one of their agents into the United States to participate in the investigation to find the little girl who had been kidnapped. Well, the United States doesn't want a Chinese agent within American borders doing an investigation with the FBI, so the FBI says, we need someone to babysit this Chinese agent so that he doesn't get in our way. They don't want to use an FBI agent to do this job because it's an embarrassment for them, so they say, who better to humiliate than an LAPD cop? So they call up Detective Carter's captain, and they say, we need one of your guys to basically babysit a Chinese agent. And the captain says, why would I assign one of my men for such a bullshit assignment? It's a disgrace to me. It's a disgrace to my department. It's a disgrace to... And then he sees Chris Tucker coming to his office, and he says, Dan, I'll send someone right over. And Chris Tucker walks in, and he says, Captain, you know the papers be lying. Man, they just looking for a story. One cop was shot, another one lost a pinky, but ain't nobody died. You destroyed half a city block. That block was already messed up. You destroyed a lot of evidence. There's still a little bit left. What you did was dangerous and completely destructive. And you know what? You did a good job. And Chris Tucker's eyes light up, and he says, what? He goes, and then he says, the Chinese consulate just gave me a call. The daughter of the Chinese consulate has been kidnapped, and the FBI wants you on the case. FBI want you? FBI want me? FBI wants you. Stop playing. I don't play. Stop lying. I don't lie. Thank you, Captain. And he gives the job to Detective Carter to babysit this Chinese agent. In my opinion, that is what they did to Kamala Harris. Biden was an embarrassment. He has dementia or some kind of a cognitive handicap. And they wanted someone to lose. Because the cult of Trump is so big, they said, it's hard to beat this guy. I mean, he got shot, he survived. I mean, what are we going to do? who better to embarrass than the lady who actually represents Biden? So they threw her into the fray. That is my opinion. Now, with that said, what do I think about a possible? What do I think about a Trump presidency for our time right now? Well, I believe that we are in a zeitgeist of nationalism. We've been seeing this trend for the past decade or so. We saw this back in 2014 with the ascendancy of Narendra Modi in India. We've seen this with the rise of Japanese nationalism, with the political success of Shinzo Abe, whose successor, Mr. Shigeru Ishiba, has gone so far as to say that he wants to renegotiate Japan's treaty with the United States so that Japan can be more militarily independent. And we saw the explosion of political success for far-right parties in Europe with the rise of parties like the AfD in Germany or like the Freedom Party in Austria. And these parties have been very successful. In Austria, the Freedom Party is very popular. They won most of the votes in the last election in Austria. In Sweden, you have the Sweden Democrats. In Germany, you have the Alternative for Deutschland Party. So Trump is really a part of the zeitgeist. He is a part of this massive universal political trend of nationalism. And Trump is also part of a trend of isolationism. There's a reason why people like Tucker Carlson are so popular. There's a reason why Carlson is so popular. There's a reason why even after Carlson got fired from Fox News, he became more popular than he has ever been in his whole career. Even after getting fired by Fox News. There's a reason for this. It's because Carlson and people like him represent the zeitgeist, the current political trend and the rising political trend, which is one of what? Nationalism, isolationism. Now, some of the things that isolationists say are absolutely true. Some of the things that nationalists say are absolutely true, right? We shouldn't be getting involved in Ukraine. We should not be just acting willy-nilly and nonchalant about just accepting everyone into our country. There needs to be a strong vetting process. But at the same time, there is a dangerous side to this trend, and that is one of reviving Nazism. Am I saying Trump is a Nazi? No, not saying that. What I'm saying is that Trump is a part of a political atmosphere in which you have this danger. So, for example, you see in the AfD, one of the most popular leaders of this party in Germany is a fanatical German nationalist who at one point, his name is Bjorn Höcke, by the way, and Bjorn Höcke at one point in time was writing articles for a Nazi magazine under the pseudonym of, what was the pseudonym? Landolf Laddick, I believe was his pseudonym. And he was saying that we basically should change our view on the Third Reich, and the Third Reich was actually a great thing. And Mr. Bjorn Höcke has expressed his spite for Holocaust memorials. And you see this sort of thing happening in Germany, and it's quite obvious that we are entering a new world. We are entering a new world. It is a world that is closer to what our great-grandparents lived through or our grandparents lived through. You see American isolationism making a huge comeback. Believe me, the idea of interventionism is a minority view. Most Americans do not want interventionism. Most Americans want isolationism or at least some sort of a non-interventionism. And back in the day, that's how it was. When Nazism was rising up, America was non-interventionist. It was isolationist. And what else do we see in our own time period? We see a rise in eugenics. We see a rise in this sort of techno or tech eugenics. And you see people like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, and these people are nationalistic. But at the same time, they are eugenists. And you see, for example, people like Thiel, they're into CRISPR, they're into designer babies. I mean, they are into these very dangerous ideas, which are quite popular within the world of Silicon Valley. And it's just modern day eugenics. Elon Musk wants to download information into people's brains. Elon Musk likes the idea of basically looking to just procreate or just produce babies who are genetically intelligent. And there was one case where he went to one of his employees and he gave her his sperm and she got pregnant and she got twins. And he believed that she was very, very intelligent, so she needed to produce intelligent babies, and he wanted to help her with that. And these people believe in eugenics. They believe in transhumanism. This is the new eugenics. And you see, what did the Nazis want to do? The Nazis wanted to create a new human being, a superior man, a Übermensch. And what do you see today with transhumanism? They talk about human 2.0. Accelerating the process of human evolution so that human beings can transcend their current state and become a superior version of themselves through the merging together of human and technology. And Elon Musk represents this cult. Peter Thiel represents this sort of ideology. It's the new eugenics. It's the new eugenics. And what you see in people like Musk and Thiel and their ilk is this merging together of nationalism with transhumanism. Now, what did we see back in the day? We saw Nazism. Nazism was what? It was the merging together of nationalism and eugenics. And we see this sort of thing today in the transhumanist cult. So don't get your high hopes up about Trump and say, oh, this guy is so great. Or hey, if you like Trump, God bless you. Is Trump going to do good things? I'm sure he will. But, and I'm not warning about Trump. I'm not warning against Trump. What I am warning against is the cult that is rising up, one of eugenics and transhumanism and ultranationalism that is rising up in this world. That's what I'm warning about. And the problem is that while people may say that Trump is going to do good things, and they may be right, at the same time, they revere people like Musk and Thiel and their ilk. And I just don't really understand why conservatives are this way. Because conservatives will say, oh, look at Bill Gates and look at the, the World Economic Forum, and they're all for transhumanism, blah, blah, blah. Sure, not disagreeing with you. But at the same time, you're revering Elon Musk, who is a hardcore transhumanist. You're revering people like Peter Thiel, who is a eugenist. Why are you supporting these people? And the reason why these figureheads are rising up in the midst of this zeitgeist of nationalism is because what we are seeing is a world that is parallel to what our grandparents and great-grandparents saw. The world in which you have nationalism and eugenics being put together, and you see that today with transhumanism and nationalism. It's very scary. It's very scary. And what else do you see? Militarism. You see Germany working to boost up its military capacity. Japan, China, all these countries. Why? Because a global conflict is in the future. So what do we see? Nationalism, eugenics, American isolationism being very popular, and militarism. Oh my God, it's like we're back in the 1920s again. It's like we're going back to the 1930s. It's very, very creepy and eerie what is happening, everyone. Anyway, those are my thoughts on that. You guys just heard some theology. God bless.